I don't have a full black face anyway because I have a beard, so I only ever black the top of my face. There's rather tenuous links to minstrelsy, but there are more strong links to the tradition of using either burnt cork or coal or soot as a disguise that predated the minstrel era.
Because it's been used so much in a derogatory way, regardless what they might mean to be. So, and I know what blackface paint meant to a lot of people that came before and that's the reality. So they need to understand, although they might have grown up doing certain things, but some people grow up doing certain things and it was wrong from them when they were growing up doing it. I'm in my skin every day, so I know what it's like. Can nobody tell me what it's like? I know exactly what it's like every single day. You can just wipe that off and then you go on with your life. Does that make sense?
But in those days, when the mummers' place was around, it was the simplest way of showing this person is from a different country. No other reason.
It's very relevant today, and my opinion is if anybody's offended by it, then we shouldn't do it. It's not necessary. It's not necessary. People will say, oh, but it's tradition. But traditions change. You know, they evolve, they move on.
I just feel that it's important that our traditions are maintained, and be they black faces or dressing up in funny clothes or whatever it is, I just feel it's important as part of our history and part of our heritage and part of our background and part of us what makes England England, really. And this is not about sort of excluding others. I mean, I'm quite open to, we accept other people, and I just feel that what we do should be accepted on equal terms.
But I think the ultimate is education and saying why are you doing that, rather than people me asking you the same question from a person of colour saying, well, what? Because for me, I've never took offence because I've not understood the history. It's just somebody painting up and doing a bit of... So until you're educated, you can't have a view to say what it is, because you'll only go with what people want you to perceive it is.
I think it's more important to make the explanation that it isn't a racist thing, it's purely a historical thing, and it's a civil rights thing, really, to be allowed to dance in public. So it's making a historical point, more not a racist point.
Now, to outsiders, perhaps one might say it's racist, but in all honesty, the blacking up was a form of disguise.
Because I'm aware the Border Morris, there isn't actually an explanation, but I believe for Molly dancing it is documented somewhere. There is a long-standing tradition of having people of colour in the country, and so I think if it is paying tribute to the exoticism of Moorish culture, then I don't think that's necessarily a problem. As long as it's paying tribute in a positive way. When is cultural appropriation, cultural appreciation?
It was nothing to do with race. It's worth having a discussion about, but at the end of the day, folk dancing, Morris dancing, whatever you do, is meant to be inclusive and is meant to be a celebration of our diverse culture. And yeah, it shouldn't be exclusive or upsetting to anybody.
I have a son who's a musician who's played at these festivals, who's mixed race heritage. I know his mother, who's black, finds the whole blackface thing very difficult, and she does get upset about it. And I think people have to take into account that this might be one of the reasons why we see so few blackfaces at folk festivals. And I do understand why people may feel that their tradition is being taken away from them. I know that's a difficult thing, but I just think on balance, I would like to see the folk world become much more diverse.
There is an element of sort of foolery about it, and the idea that would incorporate sort of some racism as well would be that, we're all card-carrying sort of lefties, most of us, sort of thing in that sense. They'd be appalled by the idea that would cause offence. So I wouldn't want to cause offence to anybody of any colour, ability, race or whatever. None of us would. We're here to do Morris dancing.
One of the main arguments against blacking up is the Morris teams who black up may well have adopted that from the black and white minstrel shows, because they were hugely popular, and it's actually quite hard to rule out that may well have influenced Morris dancers and our outfits.
But I thought, well, if it's just a disguise, why do they do their hands as well? Like, why is that necessary? And
The fact that there's still so many examples in everyday life of black people being treated as a minority, being discriminated against. If those things weren't all happening and it was all in the past, but because there's so much of it still in the present, then that's why it's important to really acknowledge the issue and deal with it rather than just explain it away as history.